I'm Fionnuala Ní Aoláin. I hold the Regents Chair at the University of Minnesota Law School, and I am also concurrently a Professor of Law at the Queen's University of Belfast, Northern Ireland. Since 2017, I've held the position of UN Special Rapporteur on counterterrorism and human rights. I think the challenge we are facing is what we might call a double pandemic of global emergency law, where multiple states from every region in the world have been enacting emergency legislation, some of it necessary, but large amounts of it actually appear to be pretexts for authoritarian power grabs, for limiting a range of rights that have no connection to the health pandemic or are unnecessary to address that pandemic and are opportunistic, or that states are using the cover of the pandemic to continue to crack down on civil society, on human rights activists, on people who simply disagree with them, under the guise that no one will notice because they are too busy dealing with the health crisis they are managing at home. Many countries have essentially limited the scope of parliamentary or congressional oversight of the measures that are used. The argument being that these bodies can't meet because of the pandemic. But without oversight, of course, we're unable to assess whether, in fact, the executive is doing its job properly or being checked properly. So ensuring that there's continuous congressional or parliamentary oversight is really important. And we're seeing weaknesses there in a number of countries across the world. The second is judicial oversight. As we are having a discussion in a number of countries as to who is an essential worker, we're seeing also a robust conversation that lawyers and judges ought to be essential, because in order to oversee not just the pandemic, but the rights of individuals to a whole range of rights during the pandemic, however long it lasts, legal systems have to function. So shutting down courts, making the courts and legal advice inaccessible or illegal during the pandemic is clearly a weakness in the system. The third challenge we have is sunset clauses. A number of countries have enacted legislation that is indefinite, that doesn't have an end date. Now, while it's true the scientific community might say we don't have a clear end date on the pandemic, it seems extraordinarily disproportionate to say that there will be only the government itself will get to call when this is over and on what terms. There should be continuing oversight and a clear statement that these powers will end at the end of the pandemic.